Thanks, Lynette. She's got more than 25 years of advertising and marketing experience. Rochelle Newman-Carrasco is the CEO of the firm Enlace Communications. She's noted for her hands-on style and her expertise in targeting specifically the Hispanic market. Rochelle, welcome to Making It.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
So when you look at a product, how can you tell whether or not it really has a crossover appeal, or whether or not it will if you give it the time and energy?
You know, it sounds very fundamental, but at the heart, it has to be a quality product. It really has to be not a product that people are just trying to make profit off of, but a product that people are really going to care about. So, you know, we look at whether or not there's a audience for this product in both the Latino and the non-Latino community. And you don't want to be everything to everybody. You want to find what part of that audience is going to be most receptive to your particular product category. So, for example, in La Palapa Azul's category, everybody loves ice cream, but not everybody is adventurous and wants to experiment with different flavors and tastes. But there's an audience of non-Latinos that are extremely foodie in their consumerism.
So do you necessarily have to anglicize the product in order to get it to cross over? I mean, what are the key issues when you have a product in a Latino community and you want it to cross over to English-speaking customers?
That's a really great question, because there's actually two routes to take. There's the route where you actually leverage the Latino identity of the product because you're trying to reach a non-Latino community that's looking for an experience, looking for something interesting but not threatening. And at the same time, there's an approach where you do want to take away some of the Latino cultural identity because you want to try to be a mass market product and become vanilla, if you will, and reach out to the broadest non-Latino community. But in my opinion, from my experience, the more specific you are, the better. So if you maximize that Latino cultural value and you speak to non-Latinos that are really appreciative of that and interesting, and every day, the non-Latino consumer becomes more interested in food tastes that are Latino, in hair care products, in music, in entertainment.
Now, I'll tell you, I could see a product like some of the things we're talking about, like the ice cream that we're talking about, because it's something that's similar to something that a broader audience already eats.
Right.
If you try to market, for instance, lingua to me, I'm going to go, oh, wait a minute, I don't know if that's anything I want to try.
Yeah, but that's true. And actually, food is one of the things that's most, especially like those kind of really cultural ritual foods. It's the same in any culture, the Jewish community, in the Latino community, in the African-American community. The more, you know, steeped in culture it is, sometimes the more difficult it is to cross over. But if you package lengua as, like King Taco has, for example, as, you know, tacos al carbon, and it's an ingredient. They don't necessarily emphasize the tongue
So you don't know you're eating it.
You don't know you're eating it. So once you're hooked, you're hooked. And then it's like, you know.
Like, this stuff is great.
This stuff is great, exactly.
I love the al carbon, please. So what are some of the biggest mistakes that agencies make when they try to do the crossover thing?
One of the biggest mistakes is simply translating, thinking that you can start from a translation standpoint. You know, words were not meant to be, ideas were not meant to be translated. You can translate a word. You can say, well, 2 for 1. But an idea, it really has to be worked against the consumer's understanding of that idea. Okay. So translating is sometimes a pitfall. Another thing is really underestimating the market. A lot of people think this is the Hispanic market and that it's just one homogeneous concept. But there's Cubans, Puerto Ricans. Mexico is almost 25% the size of the United States. It's a big country. So even Mexicans from Mexico City are very different than Mexicans from the rural areas, from Catemaco, for example, which is a, you know.
So what do you do? Put out 2 or 3 different versions and market one to the Cuban community, one to the Mexican community, one to Bolivian community? You
certainly can do that, but there are budgetary restrictions that sometimes make that a real challenge in terms of budget. So you try to find ideas that approach the commonalities. I call it in common advertising. There's in language, there's in culture, and I like to talk about in common, finding the things that creates a thread that will unify all of the groups, and that can be done as well. Or, as you say, you can also speak to Cubans specifically, and if you have products that are particularly Guatemalan, you speak to them in a more direct fashion.
So real quick, couple seconds left. How does Enlace Communications help these folks out?
We try to make it easy for them because we know a lot of people are not familiar with the market. So we start out with understanding the consumer. We do consumer insight research. We do, brand. We understand where the brand fits in the consumer's life. And from there, we do marketing plans, advertising plans. We come up with creative. And we always do something called a back translation. So even though if we're working in Spanish, we're also helping the client to understand how that might be coming across if I were to take it into the English language. And then we look at their bottom line and make sure they sell.
Rochelle Newman-Carrasco, got to leave it right there, but
Okay,
thank you very much
terrific.
for coming.
Thank you, a
Come
pleasure.
on back and join us.
I would be delighted.
Excellent.